Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. I am so happy to have you. My name is Emily and I make videos about books every Tuesday and about beauty every Saturday. So today we're going to be talking about why I love audiobooks. So I know that some people are very pro audiobook, some people are very anti audiobook, so I'm going to explain why I love them. So let's go ahead and get into it.
Honey?
And before we start, I wanted to share the t-shirt that I'm wearing today is actually this super cute crop top, and this is from the USPS merch store. I love this shirt and I bought it partly because it's cute and also because it's really important to support our public services like the USPS and, like I'm going to be talking about in this video, public libraries. All of those public goods and services are really important, so make sure that you are calling your reps, signing petitions, doing things like that to support the USPS because it's in danger right now. Alright, so we are going to go ahead and get right into it and talk about why I love audiobooks. So the biggest reason that a lot of people say they don't like audiobooks is that it's not real reading or it's cheating, right? So a lot of the times if you're participating in the Goodreads challenge where you want to read a certain number of books in a year, some people think that any books you read via audiobook don't count. And that's actually been disproven by science, which is super interesting. So if you don't know, I'm a 4th grade teacher, and when you go to college to learn how to teach, one of the major things, especially for elementary school, one of the major things that you learn about is teaching kids how to read. So the reading is a really complicated process, and I took a number of college courses on it, so I'm not going to rehash all of that. But basically, there's 2 main parts of reading, and that's decoding and comprehension. Decoding is that hard work that you think about doing when you were in 1st grade, sounding out words, figuring out what words mean, noticing patterns to try to figure out what those letters put together actually say. So looking at little squiggly lines on a page and turning them into words. Comprehension is what you really think about when you think about reading, and that's understanding what you read, making sense of the story, knowing what's happening, being able to make connections, all of that. So by the time you become a proficient reader, which is usually towards the end of elementary school or by middle school, decoding is pretty much second nature. You might still run across words where you have to stop and figure it out and think about it a little more, but when you're reading as an adult, you're not really thinking about focusing on each word and figuring out how to say it in your head and what it means, right? Decoding is second nature, so by the time you're an adult, that kind of is out the window and you're just focused on comprehension when you're reading. So they have actually done a number of scientific studies and shown that once you get to that proficiency level that we are all at as adults who love to read, it doesn't really make a difference to your brain. The comprehension is still the same whether you're listening to an audiobook or reading a regular book. So of course there's always individual differences and if you're able to pay attention to audiobooks and stuff like that, but scientifically audiobooks are real reading. I wouldn't recommend it for your kids who are still learning how to read. Audiobooks are not the same as reading for them, but that's because they're learning the process. For you as a grown-up, you know the process already. So listen to audiobooks without any fear of people accusing you of cheating or not real reading. It is real reading. Now that we have that out of the way, another reason that I love audiobooks is because they allow me to read and multitask. So when I was a kid, I would read constantly, but I also had very few responsibilities, right? I had activities to go to and school to go to and some chores to do, but I didn't have any major responsibilities. I would just go downstairs when my parents had made a meal for me and eat it, right? I didn't have to cook. I didn't have to go to the store and buy anything. I didn't have to schedule doctor's appointments or any of that kind of stuff, right? So as a kid, I could spend so much of my time reading, but now I've got a lot more stuff I need to do. So being able to listen to a book and do something else at the same time is really awesome because it lets me keep reading and keep exploring my love of reading and trying new books while also letting me do all of my adult responsibilities. I really first discovered my love for audiobooks when I was in grad school. I lived in an apartment in a dorm and I was about 1 mile away from my classes and I was 1 mile away from my student teaching placement. So I had a lot of walking to do, and I realized that I could get a lot of reading done if I just popped in my headphones and on my walk listened to an audiobook every day. And so that started my love of audiobooks, and ever since then I listen to them when I walk, I listen to them when I drive, I listen to them in the shower, I listen to them while I do my makeup. I just love the freedom it gives me to be able to enjoy a book while also doing all the stuff I need to do. Another reason audiobooks are really great is because of accessibility. There are a lot of people who, for whatever reason, are not able to sit down and read a traditional book, whether that's because of a disability or just because of time, back to the multitasking thing, but audiobooks are a lot more accessible for a lot of people. Audiobooks are also great because, at least for me, they really help me explore genres and books outside of my comfort zone. So my comfort zone is definitely middle grade fiction and thrillers. So basically any good middle grade book or any good thriller, I can sit down, open it up, and focus on it no problem. But there are some other genres that I do like to read. I am interested in the stories. I just have a harder time focusing on a print book. So if I'm reading like a literary fiction, contemporary, romance, like any of those other genres that I don't love as much, I have a hard time. Like, I'll sit down, open it up, and then maybe I'll notice like a weird noise happening, or maybe I'll remember some emails I had to answer, and I won't be able to get sucked in as easily. So for me, audiobooks, because I listen to them while I'm already doing something, I feel like I can be a lot more invested in a wider variety of genres because I don't have to be 100% laser focused on them like I do for a print book. And lastly, I like audiobooks because they help me save money on books. So I know my library's got an amazing selection of books, but sometimes the library doesn't have the physical book that you want, or it's not available when you want to read it, especially if you're reading popular books or newer releases. But with audiobooks, since I am trying to branch out of my typical genre preferences when I read an audiobook, I tend to just go on my library's Libby app, which is through Overdrive. So if your library uses Libby or Overdrive, or there's a bunch of other apps that your public library might use. So I usually go on there and just browse whatever's available. And I have discovered some amazing books that way, some 5-star favorites, and books that I just wouldn't have read otherwise. And I've also been able to read some books I wanted to read and then didn't buy because I was able to get the audiobook from my library. So I'm also coming out with a blog post pretty soon, self-plug here, all about things you might not know about your public library, cool things that you can access. So I will link that down below when it's up. But yeah, I love getting audiobooks from my library. It's super exciting, and it makes me feel like I'm making good use of those public services. So those are just a couple of reasons why I love audiobooks, how I got into audiobooks, and just some great things about them. So I would love to hear from you. What are some of your favorite audiobooks? Because I truly believe there are some stories that are better told through audiobook. And I will link some of my favorites down below. Please leave me a comment and tell me your favorite audiobooks or how you prefer to consume your books. Do you like audiobooks, or would you rather read a print book or an ebook? Tell me about it. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon before you go. I have new videos every Tuesday and every Saturday. Thank you guys so much.